Hello friends, today's video we're trying to do the impossible. I am trying to re-fall in love with thrillers. I have said from really within like 6 months of me starting reading again as an adult that thrillers were my favorite genre. Eat, pray thrillers, you know. It's been my thing. But the sad truth of the matter is that this year I think I've given most thrillers that I have read a 2 or a 3. And I'm sad about it. I'm very sad about it. I'm very upset. I'm not happy that this is the reality. And a way to combat that, I think, would be to, well, more like thriller slash horror, combo platter, spooky books, okay? Would be to read some authors that I have given 5 stars before and see if maybe they can make me fall back in love. One thing that I've noticed is, to me personally, personal thoughts, leave your judgment at the door. I think that thrillers and horror are more in line with each other than thrillers and a mystery, because like to me when I'm reading a horror book it tends to be thrilling, like it gets my heart pumping, it gets me like on edge, and when I'm reading a mystery like it doesn't. And so I'm falling into this trap that most of the thrillers that I am picking up are just a mystery. There is no thrilling aspect, it's just a little mystery, and that's really making me upset and peeing me out, and I don't like it. So we're gonna read 3 books in today's video to try to see if maybe they can reignite the flame. These 3 books are going to be Keep Your Friends Close by Lucinda Berry. This is a thriller where a mom's night out goes horribly wrong. They're at some sort of country club, a mom's club, and one of the moms ends up dead and everybody is suspicious. It's giving mystery, so we will see. We will see how it goes, but I've really loved Lucinda Berry, pretty much everything I've read by her, because she has a psychology background. Her books tend to lean in the psychology realm, and I do love that. Then we've got Watching You by Lisa Jewell. She has kind of been a mixed bag. I've given her 5 stars, I've given her 2 stars. So we will see. It's kind of a wild card. These covers, very similar vibes with the leaves on them, but this is about a neighborhood in England, and it's not usually a place where people are murdered in their own kitchens, but it is the sort of place where everyone has a secret and prying eyes lurk behind the curtains. So who has been murdered and who would have wanted one of their neighbors dead? This will keep you guessing until the startling revelation on the last page. So that has me hopeful. And then finally we have got the one that I'm most confident that I will like, and this is Witchcraft Wayward Girls. This book is huge, but this is the newest book from Dear Grady Hendrix. I have read 3 things. I've read My Best Friend's Exorcism, which I loved. I gave high 4 stars. Then I read How to Sell a Haunted House, and I gave that 2 stars, and I hated it. Then I listened to the audio short story of The Blanks and gave it 4 stars, and then I read Horror Story and gave it 5 stars. So overall, Grady Hendrix has been a great author for me, and so I don't think that this will be any different, and I think that pregnancy horror is quite horrifying. As somebody who never intends to have a baby because I think it's too horrifying, and it just is not for me, I think this will be horrifying. From what I gather, this is about a home at the home. It is a home for teenage pregnant girls to go, and they're given a book about witchcraft, and we will see how it goes. There's some disturbing birth scenes. That's not something that's very triggering to me, so I think I'll be fine with that. But these are the books we're gonna read to try to re-fall in love with spooky books. Hello friends, it is 6:30 and I have taken like a detour from filming my videos while I've been out of town, but we're about to jump into Keep Your Friends Close. I'm planning on reading this whole book today. It's only 260 pages. It's only 6:30. It's very dark out and gloomy, and I'm about to put in a nice scented wax melt. Let me go grab it. We'll figure out what we're doing today together. We're gonna go with a classic vanilla sugar cookie scent and read this book. The last book that I read took me days and days and days, and it's for an upcoming video, so I won't get into it, but it was a fantasy book, and that's not my thing. So it took me quite some time to get through, and I am so ready for something light and fluffy. I know the order that we're reading this. We're going to read this, and then we're going to read next the Grady Hendrix book. which I am excited to start tomorrow, but we're gonna jump into this now. I can't wait. Okay guys, I finished the Lucinda Berry book last night. I'm not getting up from bed because I've had a long day. I've edited 9 videos today. But I finished You Keep Your Friends Close last night, and it was really good. I gave it 4 stars. Basically, we have a cast of characters. We had Jade, Brooke, and Whitney. And they were like the main characters. That's whose point of view you got. And basically, they were having a party. They were all in like a mom's group for like these Beverly Hills moms. And basically, during the party, one of the party goers, Kirsten, essentially drowns in the pool. And the police come and they're trying to figure out what happened. And everybody's blaming each other. And it's basically trying to figure out what happened while everybody else is also dealing with the fact that their friend just died. So it was pretty good. There was 2 twists. The first twist wasn't that shocking. But then the second twist, I was like, what? So there was that, and now I have started this, which is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. This book has really long chapters, so I'm not like live, laugh, loving that, but I'm on chapter 3 right now, and I'm reading it on my Kindle. I'm only 7% in, but basically we've got our main character, Neva, who's going to be going by Fern, and she's like 15, I think, and pregnant. And basically it's the 70s, and this is extra horrible, worst thing ever, disgrace to her family that she's pregnant. She tried hiding it, but they found out, and now they're shipping her off to this home for pregnant girls. Everybody there is kind of like interesting. They all have flower names, and nobody is allowed to talk about who they really are, what their real names are, where they're from. It's all a secret. And we don't have like, that's pretty much all I have so far in the book, because I'm not very far, but there's a couple of things I wanted to read you that I highlighted. Literally 2 things. They're on page 10. It said, but for girls like us, down there at the home, the devil turned out to be our only friend. Literally loved that, but what I just highlighted, I think it's so funny. Not funny, but like, kind of. The lady who runs the house, her name is Miss Wellwood, and she's like, do you know why you're here? And she's like, because I'm with child, ma'am, she said. You're here because you acted like a barnyard animal. You took the glory of your womanhood and threw it in the mud. Look at me. That was just like wild phrasing. I was like, what the fuck? But it's super funny because I'm simultaneously, while filming this, filming a different vlog where I'm reading one of my best friends like picks for me. And we read very opposite taste, and she got the arc of this book and she DNF'd it, I think, at like 30 or 40% and said it was so boring and nothing was happening. And I'm on literally chapter 3 and I'm like, oh my god, I'm loving this. The only thing is that it is like a really long, so it's almost 500 pages, and the chapters are a little bit longer than I personally enjoy, but so far so good. I am enjoying it. I think I'm gonna read a bit more today. I don't know how late I'm gonna read today. There's also like these things in between chapters that say how to be a groovy witch. I don't know what that's about, but I'm interested to find out. And I do have like a very fancy signed copy of this, which I do love. But I'm going to continue on with reading Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. And if I like this, and this is just really cementing Grady Hendrix as a favorite author of mine. The only book I've read by him that I didn't give 4 or 5 stars was How to Sell a Haunted House. But with that being said, let us continue reading Witchcraft for Wayward Girly Pops, okay? Okay, friends, we are about 1/4 of the way through Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. You guys turn my tripod, and I feel like you're kind of crooked a little bit. Is this better? Yeah, that feels better. Okay, So in this book, we have our cast of characters. Our main character in this book, her name is Fern. Well, that's the name she's given. And basically, there is this home where girls are sent when they are unwed teenage mothers. And they are sent to live in this house until they give birth to their babies. And their babies are going to be put up for adoption and they will go home. They have chores. They've got rigorous, like, doctor's appointments, schedules, and all of that. And they're honestly really, really bored, and the doctors kind of all suck, and everybody sucks, and they're not allowed to talk about what their real name is, where they're from. They basically want the girls to be there with under this fake name, fake identity, and then leave with, like, nothing to trace them back to having ever been there, because it's so shameful. So at the point I am at now, at 25%, the girls, every 2 weeks a bookmobile comes and they're allowed to rent books from the library. However, they have to be approved by their teachers. And our main girl, Fern, she's like having to pee literally every 5 minutes because she's pregnant. And so the librarian on the bus mobile does something to her stomach and like helps shift the baby so she doesn't have to pee. And she's like, I think you might be able to use this book. And she hands her a book with like a weird cover, and she's like, I don't know about this. And she was like, don't judge a book by the cover. And you basically now have learned that this is a book of witchcraft. And like there's one character, Zinnia, Z-I-N-N-I-A, and she is suffering with severe morning sickness, and she's like, maybe we can do a spell to help you with that. So far that's what's going on. There's been one really gross like bathroom scene, and then our main character Fern was low in iron, and instead of giving her like an iron supplement, they made her eat for dinner blended up liver. Oh, I can't talk about it. It's gonna make me unwell. But so far I'm really, really loving this. Again, I do think I'm like still on team it is too long, but now we're getting into these, like, the book that they found is like about being a groovy witch. So now in between certain chapters there's like these little excerpts about how to be a groovy witch. I'll read you this one. It's the first one. There's no spoilers in it. A witch follows no rules and does nothing that will not please her. A witch is guided by her will alone, and if a law does not serve her desires, she will ignore it. Rules make her yawn and guidelines bore her. However, the following statements condense some basic principles of our craft. 1. Do not start anything you cannot finish. 2. Intention matters. 3. Accept anger, accept weakness, accept pain. As these cannot be avoided, turn them to your use. 4. Use care, caution, and common sense in all that you do. This book is not for children or morons. I just think Grady Hendrix like manages to bring something a little bit funny into his horror, and I think that's like a fun juxtaposition with it still being kind of horrifying. So I'm interested to see what happens from here. I'm sure I'm gonna not be telling you guys a ton in my further updates because it is a mystery thriller horror situation and I don't want to spoil anything. But I love the cast of characters. Rose, one of the girls in the house, she is so funny. They have like chores, and instead of saying she's not doing them or that she doesn't have to do them, she keeps saying she's on strike. And then the other girls are like, Rose is not on strike. Her family just can afford to send her here. Because like basically if they do different jobs, their parents don't have to pay for their stay, but Rose's parents can afford to pay for her to be there, so she does not give a fuck. And then one of the girls is saying that she's going to keep her babies, and they basically sign a contract along with their like parent stating that when the baby is born they're giving it up for adoption. And she's like, well, I haven't signed anything yet. So I'm interested to see how that goes. But basically once they have the baby, they're taken to the hospital to have the baby, then they come back at the house for like a week, and then they are shipped off again, and nobody talks to them ever again, and nobody is to know that they were ever there. So I'm very interested to see where this goes. I will admit I've been in quite a reading slump. I honestly think it's stemming from having read this one fantasy book that I did not really like for a different video. But I'm really loving this, and I think it's really reinvigorating my love of reading. It's currently 2:30, and I'm hoping to read most of this today, if not all of it. We will see, but I'm loving it. Like right now, there's a possibility of it being 5 stars, which is amazing because I've had a horrible reading month. conclusion. And the conclusion is DNF. I'm not reading that book. It is so boring. That was a little bit dramatic, I know. But I did read 30% of this, and I just could not care any less. There's tons of different points of view in this, and like storylines going on. But I couldn't keep them straight. There's like 5 of them, and I'm like, who's that again? Like every time we get to a new chapter, and it's in 3rd person point of view, which is fine. But it's making it like harder for me to like remember who's who and what's going on. It's like this chapter. Jenna sent her mom a text. Since Monday, Freddie had stopped absorbing information. Tom Fitzwilliam was back. Joey had heard a scooter. Like, every chapter starts with, like, a new person situation, and I hated it. But, for the conclusion, do we still like thrillers? Though we had 1 DNF, we had 2 4-star reads, which I think these are, like, my most highly, besides Horror Store, which is also Grady Hendrix, my highest rated thriller, horror, mystery genre books in a while. And I think I'm just needing to really hone into authors that I like. Like, I know I like Lucinda Berry, so maybe I should just be picking up more of her books. I know I love Grady Hendrix, so I've almost read all of his books, which is so sad. Besides this Haunted House, we don't talk about that one, but like, I love him, so maybe I should just read his books. Whereas Lisa Jewell has always been a hit or miss author for me, so maybe like, for the time being, where I'm feeling kind of not inspired by thrillers, I should pick up either new authors or authors I know I love, and maybe pass on authors that have been hit or miss for me for the time being. But I am so happy. This book was so close to being a 5-star. If it was like 100 pages to 150 pages shorter, it would have been 5 stars. But I am happy with where we're at with this video, and it did reinstill a bit of love for the thriller genre to me, and that's something that I could not be happier about. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!